Huge returns today. Can't wait to show you. Oh, so what's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpollia. You thought you're getting out of that. Now you have to hear it. It's Joe Catchpollia sitting on the couch, making some money investing in fractional real estate online. Today I'm on Solomon's Lot. It's solslot.com. I've showed you this site a few different times. I think that it's gotten to the point I'll probably make a playlist for this. So if I do that, there'll be a link to the playlist at the end of this video. I did get to interview Matt, who's the creator of this site, a while back. They made a lot of changes since then, but I think it's interesting to listen to the way he describes what this interest is that you own. So you get these little NFTs in your wallet, but it represents basically a piece of equity in a forward sale contract um, that I've bought three of these so far, although I just redeemed one. Uh, it was nice. So I think I had showed this the other day that they have this Mint Garden site where you can redeem them, and so I could go here and take an offer. This was actually mine that I had, but they put a button right in the wallet section where I just had to go down here and click redeem. So that was nice. We're not talking about big money at all. Hopefully that was clear when I was saying huge returns. That was a joke. So for this one, I spent $25 for it. One of the things that I think is interesting, I bought it with a credit card because I think I'm not good with crypto, so moving money onto the site is just, doing it through the wallet where I had to convert it last time was just a little bit of a pain. So I just used a credit card to buy it. Uh, I only paid $25, right? They didn't charge me the extra fee, which was nice. And so I got 2% cash back on that purchase, and that's like a nice extra bonus, right? So that's not even included in this. So, obviously the dollar amount here is very tiny. I made $3.52 on this deal, but the percent is what I'm more interested in, right? Because right now I'm just experimenting with all of these. I don't have a ton of money on any of the sites relative to like comparing it to investing in properties that I might buy in real life. But at the moment, all of them, I'm just trying to figure out how they work, put enough money in that it's like, worth it and fun, and I can actually experiment. But on one like this, where it's like, there's no difference between buying one or buying 10. I just bought one on this one, so it cost me $25. That was a week ago. Redeemed it today for $28 and 0.518 cents. It ended up being a 14.07% ROI. What's I think really exciting about it though is it is a 95,725% XIRR. What is that? I mean, that's crazy, right? Well, it's because I made that money it took me 1 week. This is a really unusual situation. If you look at when I bought or these other ones that I own on here, or do I have the other tab? Oh, I have the same thing up on both tabs. That's useless. Okay, let's go back. Let's see again. Uh, Oh, there's my asset overview. That's what I had to click on. My other two I bought further back in time, right? So I'm not going to have the same crazy XIRR. But like even if I had held this for several months, right? Like if I had bought this back in January, which I think is probably a more normal hold period for what these will be. So the two that I have left, one has a year term, which is the maximum it can be outstanding for. The other is 8 months. But really, it just depends on how long it takes that homeowner to redeem it, and that's usually going to just mean they found a buyer to buy the property from them. It might mean that they did a refinance, but there's other ways that they could redeem it. But most likely scenarios, they're going to find a buyer, and so how long that takes. But let's say it was 4 or 5 months. It still turns into a huge annualized return. And so if they get to the point, or I'm hoping it's a when they get to the point where they have yes, I have to. It keeps telling me to connect my wallet, but I'm connected, so I'm not sure what's wrong there. There's only so many properties. I've bought one of all the ones that are currently available, and I'll keep doing that. But at a certain point, once I've really proved to myself that like this is a model that is relatively safe, and I'm consistently getting the returns that I think that I'll get, it's one that I think like it'll be good to just keep churning through deals, kind of like what I'm doing on ground floor. I forgot to mention, please like and subscribe. And in the show notes, it's always funny they call them show notes, but in the description to this video, there's a link to our Discord if you want to talk about fractional real estate investing on any of the platforms. There's a whole bunch of us in there on a daily basis talking about that. And I have links to all the other places that I'm currently invested on. So, just because I invest on there doesn't mean that you should. You want to do your own due diligence on all these platforms, and on the properties. If you see me buying certain properties on any of them, just know at the moment it is a very experimental type portion of my net worth. I'm not YOLOing. I'm not putting like a huge what I consider a big risk on any of the platforms right now. And I would encourage you to really not do that until you feel good about how they work. Prove to yourself you can actually make money on those sites. But I've been doing enough that I feel like I've got some skin in the game and really want to understand things. And on this one, the one that I redeemed today was only 25 bucks, but one of these was 150 and one I think was 300. And so for most of these, I'll probably just be buying one or two, and until there's some. And my hope is that they get to a point where they just have so much volume that I don't have to buy a whole bunch in any one property, but can just keep rolling those returns over. And I think it's the type of product that I think the more volume they get, the better it's going to be for us investors because some of them will pay off earlier, some will be later. They'll have different levels of discount, but if and some of them might have some issues, and there's always risk of loss. Although I think the way it's set up on this one, it does seem to be minimal, other than just like a platform risk or fraud risk or those types of things. Um, but regardless, the more you can spread it out, the less any loss would potentially hurt you. And none of them, well, I guess though that it might, one of the things that I might do is try to look for ones that seem like there's less time to redeem them, because as we just looked at that, excuse me, at the IRR, the closer to the redemption date that you actually buy it, the better your return ends up being, right? And I mean that's why we saw, I mean, just an absolutely insane return because when you're looking at it for just a week. Because if you can turn it over and make $3, then you turn that over and make a similar return, and if you could do that 52 times in a year, that's how you end up with this just massive percent return. Um, and depending on the type of volume that they eventually have on here, uh, well, you'll never get to, it'll never look like that because your average length is always going to be significantly longer than the week. But I actually think it was really smart that they went and did this. They made it so basically when you bought it, you knew you were going to get to redeem it really soon. It got a lot of people to go in and use the site, see how it works, basically get some free money for doing it. That the next one, I think I already mentioned this, but that next one is going to pay off soon, or at least it's under contract, so it should get redeemed soon. Um, it'll be fun to calculate that and see what that looked like. Because honestly not sure. I'll have to go back and look at when I actually bought it, and then look at what that annualized return is. But yeah, if they keep, if they continue to redeem as they're supposed to, and I know I've talked a lot about this site considering they've only got a few properties, and this is the first one I'm redeeming. I think that the model itself I think it's a very elegant model. I think that it solves a lot of problems for homeowners that I see in the marketplace all the time. And if they can do that and at the same time give us, you know, really strong annualized returns, and let's go, let's say that it took, um, uh, third, I'll just say 30 because I don't. Yeah, even if it took us 9 months, right? You're still getting an almost 20% return if you're get, you know, I mean, it ends up like 14 being the floor return level and going up from there depending on how quick you get paid off. It turns into a product where, you're doing amazingly well. Um, I'm sure over time that it will probably, I can imagine that number going down, right? If if it turns out that the average return people are getting is, significantly higher than what you're going to get from any alternative, they'll be able to lower that over time and get people to still invest in it. And that way it'll make it more attractive of a product that they're offering to homeowners. Um, but I think we're probably a long way off from that. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential in it, even though it is, I think there's still a long way to go. I did really like the little redeem button. It was super easy. It just basically, I tried to record it actually, and I had some problem with my video. But it really just looked like this, right? Where, you could have the take offer, but it was right inside the site. I clicked on it. It did take a few minutes, or not even a few minutes, but longer than I thought for the property to disappear from my wallet and the cash to go in. But I don't know. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about this. I'll definitely be, buying future ones that pop up on here, and I'll update you on the ones that pay off. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this today. Um, and but if you use this at all, especially if you're somebody who is a little bit more crypto savvy than me, which is basically everybody, let me know what your experience was like. Did it feel? I mean, buying this one was pretty simple because I actually just used a credit card. And then I did have to connect my wallet, but I had done that for the previous transaction. And then the redemption was super easy. So the only thing that's going to be somewhat of an issue is I remember when I put my money on here, I had a difficult time getting it here. I had to do some swap thing. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to do that to get it off. Um, yeah, because it's these two different kinds of USDC, WUSDC, C and B that I don't really know what it is. Um, but they're clearly working on making this easier for someone like me. But if you're, I'm curious what other people's experiences with it. If it just seems like no, these are all trivial transactions and was easy for everyone to do, or if you think there's some ways to go uh, before us normies. I mean, obviously, yeah, I'm just not a great example because like this stuff just really is. The real estate part of this is, I feel like, is just so ingrained in my brain. It just comes as second nature. But the issues with, for whatever reason, my brain just doesn't speak blockchain, right? And the wallets and I end up, on some of them, I've converted my money to the wrong stuff and then had to convert it again. So I don't know. I'm just really still a noob when it comes to all that. But so any thoughts on that side of it? I'd be curious. Feel free to put a comment in the video or jump in the Discord and talk to me about it and be like, Joe, you're just being an idiot. This is actually super simple. And I'm curious at what you think about this product too. There hasn't been a whole lot of discussion about this one. Um, I think it's got a ton of potential. Like I can just imagine, I've just run into so many homeowners in the position where they have a home that's ready to sell, they have equity, the process of getting a loan, is either too cumbersome in the time that they have, or they don't have good credit or the right income because they're moving or something like that. Um, but they could sell a small piece of their equity in a forward sale, take a little hit on that, and use that money for whatever they need to, and be much better off than if they just had to try to fire sale the property. So I think there's, from a solution for someone in the marketplace, I think there's just such a strong use case for it. And if they can do that, and we can make money on it as the investors, like it just seems like, I could imagine this being a huge business someday. And so understanding how it works early, and I think that probably when it gets to that point, maybe a lot of the returns for us will get squeezed out, because it'll be a much more normal product, and people will, um, not need to get a 40% IRR to want to do it. Anyway, that's all. Now I rambled for an extra 3 minutes. Sorry to steal that time from you. Uh, until next time, I'm going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.